And this is Carter's Corner. Wow, those levels are really high. So welcome to the show. We've got Bass over on the green microphone. We've got a special guest. We'll get to that in a minute. I'm not going to turn the mics on yet because we've got a few things we have to do first. And obviously we've got Travis Carter, Carter's Corner, on the red mic today. Now, for all the people out there on Facebook, in the social medias, we are broadcasting at the moment to, I think it's 10 different sites. There will be a link in the descriptions if you want to have a look online. Also, you can listen in to the music as well on 897fm.com.au. So, welcome to the live stream. We've got some lights in the studio today, so let us know if there's any glare or anything that you think we shouldn't be putting on there. This is all experimental, trial, errors, and a lot more errors. So, let's get into it. First of all, we have, and this is really, really exciting, so we do have Dr. Nataliia Nairn in the studio with us. I hope I pronounced that right. We'll have a chat to her in a moment. But before we get into this, because this is going to be a very, very open platform for the doctor, I'll let her explain what happened. So normally we open up the text line, which is 0418 897 897, and comments on social media side of things. But for her segment, because this is such and I'll warn you now, get the tissues. When the first time I heard this, it was bad. So you may need the tissues, get them ready, and to help Dr. Nataliia through this, I will not be allowing comments for this section. The phone lines will be turned off just so we don't get any trolls or anyone trying to attack her, because it is a very, very powerful thing. Don't care, not reading them. Not. Oh, she will be coming on, but we've got disclaimers and everything we've got to do first. So we will not be responding to any text messages that come through or any phone calls or anything like that during this segment, but it will be open up later on for our other guests. So we've got an absolute doozy of the show. We had Charles Smith from MLC for the West Australia Party call out the president of One Nation WA for his decisions on his preferences. So kudos to the president from One Nation. He's actually agreed to come into the show, so he'll be on later as well. We've got... Yeah, exactly. You've got to be fair. Sorry, I just realised Bass's microphone's off. Let's just turn it back on. There we go. Yes. So as you said, it is fair to get both sides of the story.
Yes, always.
We've also got Mark Rowley, I think that's how you pronounce it, the independent from the South Metro area. Mick Mahboob, I think that's how you pronounce it.
I'm not going to comment on that one.
There's some really funky names coming out, so it's really exciting. So we've got an absolute jam-packed show today, going to be really awesome. And then we've also got some other special guests coming through, which should have been here by now, but we'll just double-check, find out what's going on with them. If they're not here yet, we'll follow it up later. But first of all, we need to do these disclaimers. So first of all, I'm going to do a personal disclaimer first. This segment is about allowing Dr. Nataliia to tell her story uninterrupted, unedited, unfiltered, non-judgmental. All of this is from her perspective, and we're doing respect to her to have the courage to be able to do this, because this is a really, really doozy of a story that's coming up, and it needs to be said, especially with the election less than 3 weeks away.
And she's been through quite a saga.
That is a massive understatement. Mm-hmm. So, and it involves like murderers and jail and all sorts of stuff.
So listen up.
Yeah, so it is an absolute awesome story. So what we're going to do now, we're going to go to the normal disclaimer, and then we'll be right back in about 40 seconds. So this is 89.7 Carter's Corner. We'll be back shortly.
The following program may contain coarse language. Listener discretion is advised.
Opinions expressed on Carter's Corner are entirely independent of the opinions of Radio 89.7 FM's Wise Board, talented management and wonderful sponsors. Carter's Corner respects the right of each individual to hold and express an opinion unfettered by the shackles of political correctness and without fear of quivering in the quicksand of cancel culture. Radio is for entertainment, not censorship.
All right, Travis Carter back here again. We got all the legal mumbo-jumbo out of the way. Now, just to check the levels, Nataliia, do you rather Nataliia, Dr. Nataliia? What's your preference? How would you like me to call you?
Nataliia is good.
Nataliia is good? Okay, fantastic. And obviously, we've got Bass from the Health Australia Party here helping out again. Welcome back, Bass.
Thank you very much. It's always a pleasure.
I'm stoked to have you here because what we might do, I think we really... Actually, are you classed a doctor as well?
I'm a clinical hypnotherapist. I'm definitely not a medical doctor. No.
Okay.
But I am very good at putting people at ease and also putting people to sleep. So be careful if you're driving and listening to this voice. This is my disclaimer. No, I'll make sure I won't be hypnotising you or mesmerising you.
It's funny you say putting people to sleep because, Dr. Nataliia, where were you born?
I was actually born in Ukraine.
Yep, and you're an Australian citizen?
I am Australian citizen, yes.
Fantastic. So she's one of us. She's an Aussie all the way through. Oi, oi, oi. Okay, so why do we call you doctor? I've heard you spent a lot of time at university.
You probably would not believe, but I actually spent 12 years studying dentistry.
Dentistry. So she's the person that kids love to hate. The tooth fairy loves her to pieces. Now, are you just a normal doctor, you know, finished degree, or are you like PhD, doctorate, or like how high up have you gone with your education?
I do have masters.
A master's? So,
yep.
So you're not just a normal doctor. You're the bee's knees. You're like one of the best doctors. Well, maybe not one of the best, but you're right up there. You're the best doctor I know.
Self-proclaimed one of the best.
Yeah, well, I only know one dentist, so you're the best dentist I know. Now, this is a bit that gets really, really interesting. Tell us what happened. Why did the Australian government get an interest in you?
I think it is a long story, so I should start probably from the beginning. Let's put it this way. At age of 15, I got into uni to study dentistry because I was a high achiever and I have completed school earlier and I have completed with honours. So at the age of 15, I got into uni to study dentistry and I was the youngest at the uni. So I have completed a 6-year degree in my home country, in Ukraine. And after that, I have completed masters in Kazakhstan. So I was already qualified in 2 different countries by the age of 22.
Wow. I was still going to nightclubs at 22. I'm not really thinking about education at all. So.
Different level of mastery.
Yeah. I'll leave that one alone for now. All right. So you finished up. You did your second degree in the Ukraine, and then did you come to Australia or travelled for a bit? So
no. Actually, the same year I was accepted to the Griffith Uni. To study dentistry, so that is another 5 years, full-time student, full fee paying student. And I was happy to accept that because to come to Australia was my biggest dream, probably dream of my life, as it was a good country, it was a democratic country, and I really, really loved to move to Australia.
Okay, so you had that opportunity. You're now in Australia. You finished your university degrees. You're practicing. So when you first started practicing in Australia, where were you actually practicing?
I actually started in Albury. However, after that, I have moved to Canberra, and I've been in Canberra for about 2 years. I have been doing extra study, just like implants, braces, and
all the really fancy stuff. Okay, so
I was going to ask about that because that is very special dentistry when you get into you know, orthodontics and braces and things like that. That is the next level. It's not just general dental. So you were doing that. That's brilliant. You're a specialised dentist.
I've been in dentistry since age of 15. I absolutely love dentistry. All my life was about dentistry. Okay,
fantastic. Great. So why did the Western Australian government take an interest to you when you were in Canberra? So what happened? So how come? So what happened at that point?
So I have moved to Perth in March last year. However, I still had about 25 patients with current braces and implants in Canberra. And it was my duty of care to finish up my patients, and I just something that I had to do.
So that's you had a very, very important word there, duty of care. So you can't leave a patient halfway through treatment. That's like having a kid with braces and you're going, no, you're fine, just leave them on for the next 20 years. Like, it's all good. So you did fly back to Canberra to finish off these patients for you. And when you came back into the country, obviously COVID restrictions were in place at the time?
Into the state.
A state, yes.
Into the state, yep. So just heads up, Bass, you're drifting off your mic.
Okay,
so so you were instructed to quarantine?
Yes.
Yes, okay. But what happened?
So at that time, my boss was aware that I have to finish up some of my patients interstate. However, she did not take that into consideration about the self-isolation, and she asked me to come to work. Otherwise, I would have been fired.
Okay, so just quickly before that, did you have to quarantine in Canberra?
No, not at all.
Okay.
Canberra, no. New South Wales.
Okay, was there any active cases, community transmissions at the time in Canberra or New South Wales?
There was 0 cases.
0 cases, okay, fantastic. And so when you came back to WA, you had to go into isolation as per regulations?
Even though you tested negative?
Yep.
Yep, okay, so you've tested negative. Were there any communal transmissions at the time in WA?
None.
So you've tested negative to COVID. There's no communal transmissions. You had a duty of care to make sure you finished up with those clients over in Canberra. There was no community transmissions in Canberra, and there was none in New South Wales at the time.
That's right.
And yet we're still in a state of emergency, which is, I think, is a joke. But we'll move on to something else. So when you got back to Perth, your boss said you have to go back to work. Okay,
Yep.
We won't name the boss yet. We're just still checking a few legal things on that side of things, so please don't get us into trouble yet. So this is an absolute doozy. So I do want to get Nataliia into the show next week. So hopefully you'll be cool with that one. So what happens? So you've got back to Perth. Your boss is putting pressure on you to go treat clients more.
Yes.
On their instructions, did you go to work?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Now, for those who don't know, under the State Emergency Act, your boss is not allowed to force you to work when you've been instructed to go into isolation. Okay. So you've gone to work, and what's happened after that?
So after that, when police came to my house to check on my self-isolation, I wasn't there because I was at work. So they eventually came to my work.
Yep.
And that's when everything started. They started to collect information.
Okay, so for most of the other people that have breached COVID isolation restrictions, they've just got fines. Like, here's a $1,000 fine, here's a $500 fine, whatever. So it's just fines. Can you tell us about your court case?
You're actually absolutely right, because after everything has happened, I started searching news, Perth news in particular. What is the fine, or what is the punishment? Let's put it that way. And yep, there was a punishment. One guy, he got $1,000. He did go to gym, shopping, all that kind of things, and he got $1,000.
Okay.
And yep.
What did you get?
I got 7-month sentencing and 9 weeks in prison.
So just so people are clear, what prison did you go to?
I went to Melaleuca prison.
Which is a maximum security
That's
prison.
a maximum security prison.
So we have a doctor, a specialised orthodontist, who went to work,
On
not to the
instructions of her
gym,
boss.
and she got a sentence for 7 months, which she had to serve out 9 weeks. Sorry, is that right? 9 weeks in
You're
jail.
Right, yes.
And it is devastating. I can see how emotional and how much that affects you. Obviously, it doesn't seem right.
No, it doesn't. So what we're going to do now, so this, you can imagine hearing you've been just sentenced to jail for looking after people.
For going to work.
It's tough. It's a tough story. So we're going to go jump into a quick message from our sponsors and probably a song as well, and then we'll be right back very, very shortly. So we're on Carter's Corner, and I apologise if this is like heavy. This is genuinely really, really heavy stuff, so it's about to get worse.
But I mean, these things need to be
Needs to be aired.
released to the community so
Yep.
that they can decide.
Exactly. So we're going to go to a quick message. We've got Dr. Nataliia Nairn. I'm done.
Nairn.
Nairn. Thank you. We've got Bass from the Health Australia Party in here once again. It's like absolutely killing it. So thank you, Bass.
Thank you.
We're going to go to a quick song, and we'll be back shortly.
Suddenly you're nowhere to be found. I turn around and everything has changed. Looking for a way to work it out. I'm trying to find some peace to navigate. The oak tree where I met you, and the writing for the traveling star. Strong from the inside, you're still my lifeline. I feel you wherever you are. The oak tree where I met you, and the writing on the statue. I still remember every word you said. I'm not a soldier, but I'm fighting. Can you hear me through the silence? I won't give up, 'cause there will be a day we'll meet again. Come and fly away with me. 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 Don't you be afraid, everything will change. You and I jumping off the edge. They say dreamers never die, so come and fly, come and fly, come and fly away with me. We're rising, we're falling, we're making through. We're climbing, we're soaring, 1,000 views. We're rising, we're falling, we're making through. We're climbing, we're soaring, 1,000
Then you need to talk to station sponsor Off the Wall Promotions. Off the Wall can provide DJ and MC services, live music and photo booths. They can even live stream your event to anywhere in the world. Operating from Yanchep to Mandurah, Off the Wall Promotions is your total entertainment specialist. Simply search the socials for Off the Wall Promotions or check out their website.
The 897 Community File.
Have you heard about the Wanneroo and Community Suicide Prevention Network? It is a group of community members who have been bereaved by suicide, have experienced ideation and attempt survivors partnering alongside service providers and the broader community. The network's focus is to promote positive mental well-being, the prevention of suicide through encouraging meaningful conversations, awareness raising, cooperative training, personalised support groups for those people who have experienced ideation or survived an attempt, community presentations and supporting organisations. Head along to their monthly meeting on the second Tuesday of the month from 9:30am to 11am at 11 Rockaway Road, Wanneroo. Or check them out on Facebook for the latest updates on community-based suicide prevention, as suicide prevention is everyone's business. If you are in need of support, please contact Lifeline on 13 11 14 to speak with trained professional counsellors 24/7.
Promote your non-profit organisation or community group, and it's free. Head to our website at 897fm.com.au.
All right, Travis Carter from Carter's Corner is back here again. So we do have Bass from the Health Australia Party. We've got Dr. Nataliia Nairn. I'm shocking with names. I really got to improve. So we're talking about her ordeal where so as a quick recap, qualified dentist in 3 countries with her master's, had a duty of care to finish off the treatment of her patients in Canberra. So she flew back to Canberra, 0 cases in either of the states, flew back to Perth. Whilst in the isolation, her boss said, you have to go back to work. I'm paraphrasing here as well. I don't know exactly what the boss said. So the police came to check to see if she was isolating. She wasn't home because obviously she was at work. So instead of giving her a fine, she got sentenced to
7 months.
7 months and served 9 weeks in a maximum security prison. Now, what I want to ask you is, tell me about what happened to you while you're in jail.
Who
was your cellmate?
So to start with, they actually placed me to the mental units, a crisis care unit for 4 days. After I got out of the mental unit, they placed me with a murderer in a cell, and she actually still looking for about 10 to 15 years in jail.
So because you skipped your grounding, because that's effectively what the isolation is. You're grounded, right? You stay home. You've come across the border. You're a naughty person. Stay home for 2 weeks, and so because you skip grounding, they put you in jail with a murderer.
Yes.
For 9 weeks.
9 weeks.
I was talking to you off air. What happened whilst you were in the mental?
Yep, in the crisis care unit.
Yep.
So basically, what that units are designed for? They're designed for to protect prisoners from hurting themselves.
Yep.
Let's put it that way. Although I did not have any signs, I didn't have any attempts to hurt myself, but however, officers, they decided that would be the best choice. That's okay. So they placed me in a cell. In about 2 days, they have placed another prisoner in there. But the cell is designed only for one person.
Yep.
So the prisoner actually stayed on the floor. She have slept for about a few hours. After she woke up, she started threatening me of actually killing me. After she started screaming, making noise, naming names, the officers showed up to our cell and they have opened the door. However, it was very interesting because no one did anything. They've been standing at the door looking at her screaming. She was banging the walls and she was saying explicit language, and she was saying that this girl, she's here for COVID breach and she will actually kill me tonight. And the officer looked at me and said, "Are you okay?" I actually said, "Do I look okay?" "No, I'm not." In about 10 minutes, they asked the other girl to leave the cell. However, she refused and she actually started throwing things.
Do you feel your life was at risk?
Oh yeah.
Yep.
That was probably one of the scariest moments in my life, and I was disappointed when officers been standing there, not making any movements.
Yep. Okay, so you finally got out of the isolation. You're back in your cell.
Only to have a prison cell with a murderer who's got 10 to 15 years left. Can we go through your mental state, going from a dentist who's a professional, who's a person that's never broken any laws, and then going to a court case where you're told you're going to jail with a sentence of 7 months, which you've got to serve 9 weeks. What was your mental state like? Because, I mean, you seem pretty calm right now, and obviously it is still emotional, but, I mean, any person would be completely going out of their mind, especially for a victimless crime where you've tested negative. You didn't have to quarantine in Canberra. You had to go to work here. So what was your mental state? Just walk us through that. Like, were you in shock?
Yeah, shock. I just couldn't believe it. And to be quite honest, people have been telling me, look, you probably wouldn't go to jail because there were no other people who went to jail because of they did not self-isolate themselves. And I thought, yeah, probably seems about right. But yeah, getting 9 weeks for crossing a state border. As I've mentioned, I was born in Ukraine and my mom is in Ukraine. At the same time, she was overseas on her vacation. And my dad, he's actually in the United States. He was having a break overseas as well. And their daughter is sitting in Australia, one of the best countries in the world, and she's in jail for crossing a state border for COVID.
Maximum,
and it's not just that, it's a maximum security. This is like where gang bosses and rapists and
murderers,
pedophiles, like the worst of the scums.
And we throw a dentist in there because she broke a quarantine rule.
Broke your grounding. It's like, you know, when you have a naughty kid and you're grounded, you go to your room. Like, you broke grounding.
Did you feel it was a bit severe? Did you feel like you've been made an example out of?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, totally.
do you consider yourself a political prisoner? Do you think Mark McGowan has done this purely for political points?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Now, talking of political points, that goes to a very, very big point. I read quite a lot on this one. The media, from my perspective, try to paint you as the worst criminal of the decade, and some of the reporting was terrible. Did you see that reporting before you went to jail, or did you see it when you got out?
To be quite honest, I've actually read only one article about myself, and probably that was one of the worst ones. As I'm actually a competitive athlete, I am a powerlifter. I do have 6 national records. I have 6 gold medals, and I train in the gym 6 days a week. To add to this, I don't smoke, I don't drink, I don't do drugs. I do gym and dentistry. That's it. And one of the reporters, they took my photo from my social media and saying that I was flashing my abs. And I thought, well, excuse me, that doesn't seem right. You did not include that I compete maybe every 3 months.
Yep.
I'm in good shape, and I compete for Australia. So, yeah, saying that I'm flashing my abs on my private social media.
Was this before or after the prison sentence?
Yeah, before. And after I read that article, I just stopped reading everything that they would put about me.
I can tell you now, it's bad. Do you think it was a trial by media?
Yes.
Yep. So is there anything you'd like to say further? Because this is the whole reason we've done this segment for you, is because there's no way in hell Channel 7, Channel 9, Channel 10, ABC, any of them would have given you a chance to say your story uninterrupted. They would have had a narrative they wanted to push. Is there anything that you want to get out there, anything you want to say to the government or to people that you've treated out there, anyone you want to say thank you to?
And this is the beauty of community radio, that you get your voice.
Yeah, to be quite honest, I never thought I would have a chance. Those 9 weeks were horrible.
All right.
Well, let's start with this, just to help you through your emotions there. What would you say to the judge, the person that gave you the 7-month sentence? What would your sentiment be?
I've been thinking about the judge every single night when I was going to sleep in a cell and having a murderer in the same cell. And I was thinking, so I'm making $3 a day. I'm qualified dentist in 3 different countries. I'm Australian citizen, and that's how you treated me when no one was hurt.
How would they feel if it was their daughter sentenced like that for breaking the quarantine?
That's what I thought.
Did they ever tell you why they gave you such a harsh sentence?
Not into my face, but people have been saying they wanted to make an example of me.
It's harsh.
I can't stand that. Now, this is like everyone goes, okay, no worries, you're out of jail now, you can go back to work.
Can you go back to work?
No, I can't.
You've now been given a life sentence, and why?
You're absolutely right. It will be a life sentence, as AHPRA suspended my license.
So AHPRA's suspended your dentistry license.
Who is AHPRA?
Australian Health Practitioners Registration.
It's the governing board for most
They're the guys that give out all the licenses that allow you to practice in the industry that you're trained in. So a doctor will need a doctor's license, same as a lawyer needs a lawyer's license or that sort of stuff.
And I've been thinking about this because whoever deciding to give my license back or not, they're not doctors.
Okay. I've actually read their letter to you, and what they're claiming is that you were acting in a manner that, I can't remember the exact words, that was not showing the best interests to your patients. But the whole reason you were breaking restrictions in the first place is
was
because
for your patients.
Patients needed you. Yeah. So I would love to get AHPRA on the show and get them to clarify exactly what they meant by that, because it was such an wishy-washy letter. Like, it was just full of nothing.
We'll try and get him on next week's show,
Definitely.
Travis.
I think we definitely need to get him in next week. And
she didn't break any dentistry regulations as such, right?
No, not at all. So how it works, they actually give you some time to respond to that letter. And do you want to guess how much time they gave me to respond?
If it's a government thing, probably 2 days.
2 days after I got off the jail.
Oh, wow.
2 days after I got off the jail.
Yep. So with this, there's just absolutely no presumption of innocence at all in this.
No, it's guilty until proven innocent. Is that the case?
And there's been other cases where cases have been thrown out of court because the media got a hold of them and they reported too much information. Like some of these articles were putting your whole entire lifeline, everything out there. And how can this be anything but trial by media? Even with the APRA guys, they've effectively fired you and banned you from ever practicing again, purely based on what's in the media.
You'd expect to hear or see this somewhere in another country, but not in Australia. This is completely un-Australian.
Has there been any genuine politicians, so I'm talking members of parliament, who have come up and tried to fight for you, like to try and help you? Have you been in contact with any members of parliament in Australia?
So the only person that's reached out to you is a member of the public. Just
so
a genuine person.
Michael is the one person that actually did help Nataliia through everything. He's just a general, everyday, nice guy.
Yeah.
He's not a member of parliament. He should have been, but we've had Michael Darby actually on the show a few times. He's been an absolute legend. A true Aussie. That's as far as it is. So as far as I'm concerned, the way the government treated you is totally un-Australian, and they should be ashamed of themselves. So I from the bottom of my heart, like when I first heard your story, there was a few other things you haven't said yet, but we'll get to that on another show.
It's a sad story, Travis. I'm shocked, to say the least.
Yeah, look, I do a lot of volunteer work outside of the radio station, and I know people who've committed suicide over less than this. How you haven't tried to hurt yourself, how you're still able to talk about it, is just insane. It just shows true fortitude. So, and I'm absolutely disgusted in the government, especially the Labor government, who's put all these regulations in place, and then the Liberal opposition for not fighting for people such as Dr. Nataliia here. So it's disgusting.
And then above it all, she gets deregistered from her
so
occupation.
She can't even have an occupation now either. So one of the things we have done, when I first heard the story, because it gets even worse, off air you were telling me that there's a very good chance, because you can't earn an income, there's a very good chance you don't be homeless in the next couple of months.
Yes, actually 2 months, I think it's about 6 weeks,
So what I've actually done, and we don't put all the details up on the Facebook post and all this sort of stuff, I've actually created a GoFundMe account. So on it, my first thought was to, first of all, get your housing, because I've lived on the street in the past and it's not fun. First of all, get you a house to live in. Secondly is we need to cover some of your lawyers' costs to try and get you your license back as well. So for the people listening out there, the details will come up on the Facebook after the show, so please jump on board, share it with your friends. Even if it's like $5 or something like that, just chip it a little bit in. I know everyone's struggling with COVID at the moment, but this is just beyond a joke. Like, I can't believe that they've done what they've done to you. So I'm happy to fill in for the government that's failing on your behalf. So,
Thank you.
How are you holding up?
Trying,
Take every day as it comes. Yep. Okay, and final notes for today, because I do have to be a little bit conscious of the time. Is there anything else you want to talk about before we go to the next set of messages? You're looking a little bit shell-shocked there. So no.
There's a lot that I want to say, but I don't think we have enough time for today.
Yep. So are you happy to come back next week?
Absolutely.
Fantastic. We'll definitely do a follow-up on this one. So what we don't do, we don't go to our messages. Dr. Nataliia, thank you very much for coming on the show today. You've been awesome. Keep your chin up, keep pushing, and I know there's going to be a lot of people who get behind you and help you out through this one. So,
thank you.
This is Carter's Corner. Travis Carter here. We've got Bass on the green mic tonight, and you can listen live on the internet. Obviously, Carter's Corner on Facebook. We'll be streaming on Travis Carter on the YouTube.
And it's live on Health Australia Party's Facebook page, streaming now.
And if you look in the descriptions below, I think this is coming up, I can't see, there's a list of all the different sites that will be streaming. So if you see it, please make sure you share it to all your groups, because Dr. Natalia's story needs to get out there and the government needs to be held accountable for what they're doing, because it's not just copying fines that. You're destroying people's lives and it's not acceptable. They need to be held to account. So let's go to a message and a song.